Hello, this is Chris Davison, and I want to spend a few minutes taking you through some of the features on the Trendliner Assistant. And first of all, to go through the very basics of how to load an EA. So I'm going to look in the Explorer file here at my EAs, and I choose the one that I want, in this case Trendliner, and I drag it to a chart. I'll come back to all of these settings in a minute. I want to show you a few things first of all about setting up an EA. First of all, you'll notice over here there's a cross and not a smiley face, and that is because EAs are currently paused. If I click that button to put it in play mode, the smiley face comes on, and the smiley face is what you want. Then down here we have the various lines which are used for Trendliner. I'll come on to that in a minute. And then up here you have the Trendliner status bar, which says there's an invalid key. So let me come on to some of the settings in Trendliner, and then we'll have a quick look at how we move these bars around. So by left clicking on the smiley face, you get access to the settings section. And the first thing I'm going to do is put in the key, which is a very apt key for me here. Once I've done that and clicked OK, this will disappear in a second and showing that the status that it's now active, but it's paused. Now you should have seen how Trendliner works on a previous video. This video isn't really about how it works in terms of how you can use it to set up trades, but this is a quick recap. There are three lines: a profit line, a stop loss line, and an entry line. And currently, because the entry line is out of the way of the latest price bars, everything's paused. If I move this entry line so that it could in theory take a trade, what you'll see is that status will change. And let me move all of these so that they're all valid. Then what you see here is, because it's now got a valid take profit line, a valid entry line, and a valid stop loss line, it now says everything's fine, it's waiting for a buy trade. Now you can just literally drag these lines around the chart to suit yourselves, and if you want to change so say we decide that we think price might be retesting this particular line here, and we think the stop loss might be this line here on a This isn't a good trade, by the way. I'm just showing you what you can do. You can zip around different time frames and set that up however you want to. And what it will say is it's a valid trade because it's waiting for a buy trade. It will tell you what the entry price is, which is based on a crossing of this entry line where it closes above it and has a tail below it. It tells you the target price, it tells you the stop loss price, and it tells you based on that what the risk reward is. And literally, if I left that now, it would, and assuming it closed above here, that trade would be opened. That's all you need to do. As long as you've got a smiley face there and it says waiting for a buy trade or a sell trade, you can do whatever you want. And if at any time you want to pause it, just by moving the entry line out of the way, you'll see this status change. Be aware that status only changes on this every time there's a tick change. So if price isn't moving, you may have to wait 1 or 2 seconds. The other thing you can do with this is, if you say you just want a trade to be valid for the next 24 hours or something, you can literally just extend that until the time frame you want down here, and it will only trade while that's valid. So having said that, that's all you need to do. There are some options that you can do, and I want to take you through those now. There are quite a few options. Don't worry about them. The ones you need the most are at the top, and the ones at the bottom are fairly esoteric. However, let me take you through them. So we've been through the key, and you need to enter that to ensure you can use the EA. Lot size is simply the lot size you want to trade. Makes sense. Then there are 2 settings for trading stops and move to break even, and you can decide whether you want to use a trading stop or a move to break even, and you set the pip values there. If you think about it, it only makes sense to have the trailing stop greater than the move to break even, otherwise you're going to have these two fighting each other. It doesn't matter if you do, they'll just be fighting each other internally, but think about the values you want to use. And trail in profit means it will only trail if the trade is in profit. Otherwise, it would trail right from the start, depending on what you want to do. And you can also say, do I want to check the stops every single tick? Or if it's true, it will check it every tick. If you set it to false by clicking and setting false, it only checks the stops at the end of each candle that's being formed. So in case of a 15-minute chart, it will check that every 15 minutes. Other things you can do is, if you're a Bossellator trader, you can say, okay, I want the target to be the 800 simple moving average. And if we look what it does here, it changes the target to a straight line based on that price. And if I insert an indicator to show you that I'm not making this up, the 800 period simple moving average, that's exactly where it is. And as the 800 simple moving average changes, it will every candle that forms, it will move this target along with that. And time frame, if you leave it at 0, it'll be the time frame of the chart. So in this case, that's where the 15-minute 800 simple moving average is. If I change that to 60, it would move this to where the 800 simple moving average is on the 1-hour chart. Then we've got some display settings. So do you want me to display the trend line names, which are these? Yes, I do. Do you want me to extend the trend lines out into infinity? I've put false. Updating messages every tick. This every single tick it will check for a valid trade. If you change that to false, it will only check every candle. And if you're running a lot of these, if you've got 4 or 5 charts running this EA, you'll save yourself some CPU power by changing that to false. But to start with, I would leave it on true until you get used to it. Show the 800 stats is just a display thing for those Bossellator traders out there, which is so simple information on how far it is away from the 800 simple moving average and when it was last hit. And trend line width is just the width of these lines. You can change it to suit your needs. Then we've got some broker settings. Most brokers use fractional pips. I suggest you leave it at that. Micro account, if you're trading a micro account, change that to true. All it does is allows you to set a lot size of less than 0.1 in the EA. So if you are trading in a micro account, set that to true. Add stops after the trade has opened. For some brokers that use what's called a bridge, that will be true. So literally it will open the trade and then straight afterwards it will add them. If you want it to add the stops and the take profit straight away, just change that to false. Maximum spread is the maximum spread you're prepared to take. So for me on this Euro chart, my maximum spread is 1.6, so I'll just change that. A maximum slippage is how much I'm prepared, the slippage in the price between when the trade was entered and what the broker is now telling me, and that's 3 pips. And then we've got a couple of options here, and we are getting into the esoteric stuff now, so don't worry about this. You don't need to know this to start with. If currently any close over the green entry line will cause a trade to happen. But if I wanted to say I want to wait until it's closed 10 pips over that trend line, I would just change that to 10. Then you've got 2 closing options, and these you might be interested in if you're leaving it. If you're trying to set up a certain trade and you only wanted to trade once or twice. So disable the trade, the EA, if it closes over the stop line. Currently, it would open a trade here if it went up there. If it came down and touched the stop line, it would close that trade. But if it then closed above the EA, the green line again, it would open another trade. If I set that to true, as soon as this stop line's been as a close has occurred over that, no more trading will take place until we reset the EA. And you might want to do that to stop yourself constantly going backwards and forwards and opening new trades. The other thing you can do is you can say I want to close a trade. If it opens up and then closes below this trend line again, I want to close the trade. If it goes below the trend line, doesn't hit the stop loss line, and then goes back above, it won't close it. It's only if it closes below that. And then lastly is the magic number, and this is for those of you who don't know what a magic number is. Every trade in MetaTrader is defined by the chart it's on, so in this case the euro, but also by the pair that it's on, in this case the euro dollar, but also by something called a magic number. So, and it's used to stop if you've got multiple systems trading on the same chart, or different charts but using the same pair. It's to distinguish between the two. If you've got 3 or 4 instances of Trendliner, you've got 2 options. You can either have them all using the same magic number, in which case as soon as one of them is open to trade, the others won't, because it's set to only have one trade open at a time. If you wanted to have multiple trades being available, you'd need to change that to a different number. It doesn't matter what the number is as long as they're different. As I say, have a play with these on a demo account. You'll get an idea for how they work. The real thing, the real trick to using this EA is just to move the trend lines around until you're happy. Check that you've got something that says waiting for a buy trade or waiting for a sell trade and no other message, and try it out on the demo account and see how you get on. So that's been a quick introduction to some of the features in Trendliner. Thanks for listening.